Hello fun people, I'm Isaac Carlson, and today we're breaking down the official trailer for Disney's Cruella. Now the trailer opens by showing what we learned from the description of the film to be 1970s London amidst a punk rock revolution, and initially we pan to a building labeled as Liberty. Now while I initially thought this was going to be the fashion company where the young swindler and designer Estella would get her break into the world, in fact Liberty's is a real luxury department store in London. As someone who doesn't know that much about fashion, I was just unaware of that. But regardless, when we see Estella walking into the building, who is played by Emma Stone, and who I especially loved in the movie La La Land, she tells us that she saw the world differently than everybody else. This aligns with previous details we've gotten about her character, as she was described as being a woman who was gifted with talent, innovation, and ambition. When Estella continues to explain that it didn't sit well with some people that she was different, we are shown the actress Emma Thompson, who played Pamela Travers in Saving Mr. Banks. But in this film, she will be the elegant fashion legend known as Baroness von Hellman. I assume she owns her own fashion company, since we know that the Baroness will be the one who will initially discover Estella's flair for fashion, and I think that discovery will actually happen within Liberty's. When we hear Estella reveal that she knows that her clever and creative mind wasn't for everyone, we see the girl looking broken down with a bottle of alcohol in her hand, which isn't too surprising with the backstory that's been outlined for this character. You see, the young Cruella de Vil is said to have ended up a poor orphan in London at the age of 12, leading her to run wild through the streets for years, resulting in her resorting to petty crime with some friends that we would see later. Throughout that difficult childhood though, Estella would remain committed to achieving her dream, but no matter how hard she tried, she just would never be able to have that come true. Next we see what will most likely eventually become Cruella de Vil's iconic car entering what looks like a luxury estate labeled Hell Hall. Cruella will be working with a Baroness with the last name Hellman though, so it could be something related to the Baroness as well. Eventually though, my guess is that this place of affluence, complete with allusions to the devil, will become Cruella's home when she ascends to become the villain we all know from 101 Dalmatians, especially since it looks like the place where Estella will finally wear her iconic white furs. But of course, before she obtains that life, she has to first rise out of the poverty that she was raised within, which is shown by her standing in her grungy home, just before she acknowledges that the world saw her as someone who was psycho. We are then shown a black and white Disney logo with red lettering before we see Estella's close friends from her time on the streets, the low-level criminals Horace and Jasper. They appear in a pest control vehicle, which likely means, if I had to guess, that they were in disguise as they pursued some animals for Cruella that they maybe shouldn't have been going after, like some Dalmatians. Following that, with a white cloak around her, we see Estella walking into an elegant gala as we hear her state that new days bring her new opportunities and that she was ready to make a statement. And after being growled at by some Dalmatians, showing that even from a young age, she was clearly very cruel, we are shown in a room full of people wearing black and white. Estella's cloak burns away to reveal a red dress, a move that was likely done to outstage the Baroness within her own home. From the rumors I've seen, I believe Mark Strong, the man who is focused on in the gala, is most likely the husband to the Baroness, making him Baron von Hellman. Now, when she says she's a woman who's ready to have her roar be heard, we see her red gloves, hot wiring a car, and driving away in a frenzy with Horace and Jasper by her side. Why she's in a rush is left pretty unknown, but I've got a feeling it's because she's creating some serious chaos as her sanity slowly degrades. Once we see this movie will be releasing in May, we continue to be shown Estella put together and refined, juxtaposed with her looking torn apart and mad. First, we are shown the Baroness breaking into a vault only to see a variety of insects that I assume are moths flying out of the enclosure. You see, moth larvae eat and degrade fabric, so this was likely an act done to destroy the Baroness's outfits that were likely prepared for some big fashion show. But after Estella explains that she's just getting started, we see her driving alone as she cries, stares off into the distance, and looks like a complete mess. Then we see her done up completely in the same black and white styling as every upper upper class person around her. Now, by the way that Estella transitions away from her red hair and captures the wealthy's attention with her red dress, while everyone else in the high class society only wears black and white, I think that red is going to symbolize rebellion, while black and white is going to symbolize order. By the way Estella takes on the same black and white hair as every other woman in the fashion world, I think this means she will initially be pressured to conform to the standards pushed by the elite. But while I think she will initially allow herself to be molded, I think we are going to be shown that Estella can't be reined in for long. I believe she's going to break away and face the cruel world on her own, especially since we are told that Estella's relationship with the Baroness is what sets in motion the course of events and revelations that will cause Estella to embrace being wicked. And that's likely why she's carrying around a needle like she's either going to make a dress or stab somebody. Next, we are shown a young person escaping a kind of mansion by hopping onto a truck, and personally, I think this is a young Estella escaping the orphanage that she was placed within as a child. And I also think this orphanage would eventually be the building that Estella buys and transforms into her home. We also get to see Horace and Jasper being the sneaky and destructive criminals they are. They seem to be descending into the Baroness's fashion company, most likely with the intention of sabotaging Cruella's competitor. Laying in a bed, Cruella initially looks like she's in an unbearable amount of pain and anguish, but quickly that is ripped away to show that she is ready to be fashionable, cunning, ruthless, and vengeful. We also see police racing around London and someone crashing into a police station, showing that Cruella's criminal activities are definitely going to be escalating throughout the story, while at the same time, she's going to be breaking into London's pop culture. A key moment for Estella, I learned through looking at a synopsis of the story, explains that an up-and-coming rock star will commission Estella to design him a signature piece. That is what is going to drive her deep into what they call the fast crowd. But the deeper she goes, the more Estella will wonder if becoming a part of that world will actually be worth it. Regardless, a series of events will bring her to being cheered on a stage, having the name Cruella crudely placed upon what appears to be her mansion. She'll have Dalmatians escaping her estate, a fit of maniacal laughing in what I assume is the Baroness's design studio, and eventually she'll even get to the point where she is willing to leave someone to burn to death in hopes of defeating her enemies, destroying their work, and laying waste to a part of London. I believe Estella is going to transform as she goes on a quest to become who she feels she is destined to be, as she fights her enemies and falls in love with Furse. And to me, I think this story has a lot of potential. When I was looking through the comments of the trailer, I totally agreed with this analysis, that Cruella kind of looks and feels like the Joker, only with a Disney character, and I just think that's brilliant. I totally believe that if they commit to really showing the darkness within Cruella and her world, I really think that this could be something special. When Beauty and the Beast and The Lion King were released, I wanted to see those films just because I cared about the originals, but Cruella looks intriguing just based off of what we know about this movie so far. I want to see Cruella drinking. I want to see her being completely beaten down. I want to understand where she came from, but I don't want to feel like I should be pitying her. Instead, I want to see her being insane and evil. I truly hope that Cruella is just going to be taking the world by storm, because to me, Cruella de Vil does not need anyone's well wishes. Now, after Estella embraces her name, likely to the Baroness, and after we see the title card, we are then shown that the film will release on May 28th, 2021, one day after I turned 23. Now, where you will be able to watch Cruella is kind of undetermined. By May, it's not very clear if the world will be at a place where all theaters will be open, and currently there's no confirmation whether or not Cruella will be arriving to Disney Plus, either for free or through Premiere Access. But no matter where Cruella is going to be debuting, I have to say this is the most excited I've been for a live-action movie that is connected to an acclaimed animated film. Instead of making something that's a retelling of an animated story and placing it within the real world, Cruella seems to be taking the villain we know and deconstructing her origin story in a way that doesn't paint her as a misunderstood heroine, but embraces the reasons people love seeing the character on screen. I hope we are going to see the slow rise of a truly iconic villain, but do you believe in Emma Stone and the creative team at Walt Disney Studios to make Cruella great, or do you think it's just going to be an average spin-off? Let me know in the comments, and while you're down there, make sure to subscribe and click the beautiful bell, and then click on another magical video in the description or on the screen.